I've been thinking, if I were to ask you what group of people had the most calm and tranquil mindset, what would you say? No, not stockbrokers during a financial crash. Today, we will explore the answer with the secondhand advice from the book, Think Like a Monk by Shetty. What I hoped you answered were monks. Monks are famed for their fantastic ability to manage thoughts to the point where they can sit inside a firestorm without flinching. Monks have proven that mind over matter is a fundamental principle close to a real-life superpower. The author, Shetty, who practiced being a monk for 3 years, wrote a book to pass along his knowledge. Shetty was a middle-class Indian who was destined to become a lawyer, doctor, or a failure. He chose to go down his own path and became a Vedic monk for 3 years. After being encouraged by an elder monk to spread what he'd learned to the masses, Shetty returned to civilization and has been preaching his message of the monk mindset ever since. Think Like a Monk is a perfect antidote to the modern, hostile, and stressful world we all live in. To truly appreciate the monk mindset, you need to understand Shetty's background. It took 3 years of hard work and daily practice for Shetty to develop this mindfulness. In business school, Shetty met Gauranga Das, a monk invited to speak at the school on selflessness and living a minimalist lifestyle. Shetty, inspired by the lecture, spoke with Das after his talk and attended the remainder of Das's courses around the UK. This started his journey as a monk, and Shetty eventually found himself in India practicing full-time as a monk. His daily routine in Mumbai was waking up at 4 a.m., taking cold showers, meditating, and eating. I'm sure most of us would have given up on day one at this point. For 4 to 8 hours a day, Jay would meditate diligently. His plan was simple. Half of his day would be spent on personal growth, and the other half serving others. These 2 points in particular really fuel the book. Think Like a Monk deals with the aspects of our mind that we can train. There are beneficial exercises that Shetty sets out that encourage each chapter's principal application. The first point that he makes is about identity. He encourages us to look at ourselves as mirrors covered with dust. It's only when we can blow this dust off that we can truly see ourselves. This is not a straightforward experience and will be difficult, but will help us see our actual values instead of those we feel we should be living by. A fascinating comparison that Shetty brings up is with method actors and the empty feeling they have after coming out of a significant role. This is because they've wholly absorbed a new persona and lost their actual values. To make sure this doesn't happen to you, there is an exciting exercise that encourages you to reflect on yourself that breaks down into 2 parts. First, daily, sit down to reflect on how the day went and what emotions you're feeling. Second, once a month, go somewhere new and explore yourself in a different environment. Then make sure to get involved in something meaningful to you. It's critical not to lose yourself with all the other distractions in life. Next, Shetty looks at negativity and fear. Detachment is the crucial part here in overcoming negativity. Monks approach negativity or any conflict by taking a step back to remove themselves from the moment's emotional charge. To also combat negativity, another technique is using 3 S's. These are sights, scents, sounds, and making sure each of these is a positive influence instead of a negative. It might mean ditching your phone first thing in the morning in exchange for the sight of a loved one, and making sure you have pleasant experiences filling your nose and ears. Detachment is also the antidote for fear as well as negativity. The cause of fear is attachment, so therefore the cure for fear, detachment. The monk's way of thinking identifies that clinging to temporary things gives them power over us, and they become sources of pain and fear. So we must be aware of this and combat it. The way we do this is to accept the temporary nature of everything in our lives. We can feel gratitude for the good fortune of having the time rather than lamenting how fleeting this is. A huge part of the monk mindset is all about growth. This is when the practical application comes to the forefront. The first technique is to provide a simple diagram that helps identify what we feel passionate about and have great skill. Shetty encourages us to follow those pursuits instead of ones we might be good at but have no passion for. This could be a day job or something you've got plenty of experience in but don't necessarily care for. He suggests you need to start moving towards incorporating more activities filled with both skill and passion. But the important thing is to identify what they are. Positive intention is the next top tip on Shetty's list, and being positively aligned with your goals. These goals and their origins are essential as their purpose and meaning, not success, lead to true contentment. Understanding this makes us see the importance of being motivated by duty and love, instead of winning for its own end. Linked to this is the idea that we shouldn't pin our hopes on external factors, because as long as we keep attaching our happiness to what we can't control, which is ever changing, we'll always be left waiting for it. It's important to remember that alignment means looking for the right thing in the right way through all of this. The next step to thinking like a monk is to stick to an effective routine that sets you up for the day the right way. Waking up and checking our phones is the opposite of what we should be doing. Shetty suggests making some positive changes. First, wake up 1 hour earlier than you do now, but make sure you get to bed early enough for a full night's sleep. The thinking is here that the morning's energy and mood carry through the day, so making life more meaningful begins there. He also introduces the idea of adding TIME, time, to your routine, which stands for thankfulness and expressing gratitude for someone, someplace, or something every day. Insight by reading the paper, a book, or listening to a podcast. Meditation and spending 15 minutes alone, breathing, visualizing, or with sound. And finally, exercise through yoga, basic stretches, or a workout. This is a great and simple way to get in a positive routine. And if you take anything away from this book that you can positively apply, then time is a perfect thing to try. As we're thinking like a monk, we need to dedicate practice to the mind itself. A key takeaway here is that the mind is a vessel and you feed it regularly. If we provide our minds with negative information, then we're going to give a negative output. We need to understand and visualize that the mind is a separate entity, which will help us work on our relationship with it. A positive exercise here is to write down all the noise in your mind daily. negative and self-defeating noise that you want to eliminate. Then start addressing these thoughts out loud to combat them. Studies show that talking to yourself not only boosts your memory, but also helps your focus. Another great tip is to use your own name and say it out loud. Like, Amber, you're doing a fantastic job with these videos. There's another excellent exercise that entails writing new scripts for the charioteer, aka your mind. First, write a list of the negative things to yourself. And next to each of these things, write down how you would present that idea to someone you care about. Then give yourself love and support as you would give to another person. It's all about detaching and looking after your mind as if it was an entity separate from yourself. Once we've gone through parts to help us let go and then grow, we start to look at how we can give back. Happiness is all about giving. We're introduced to the idea of mudita, or the principle of taking sympathetic or unselfish joy in the good fortune of others. When did you last feel vicarious delight for another person's well-being? Building on our positive routine, one of these is morning gratitude. This encourages you to flip over on your stomach as soon as you're awake. Put your hands in prayer and bow your head. Next, think of all the things that are going right in your life. Shetty suggests working your gratitude into your meditation by listing all the things you're grateful for at the end of your breath work. Relationships are vital to practicing this gratitude. We can do this by cultivating our essential relationships and investing quality time into them. Shetty's 3 points here really help you to focus on doing this. They are presence, attention, and intimacy. All are antidotes to the modern trend of being distracted from the massive amounts of content that we have around us all the time. Think Like a Monk teaches us to put these distractions aside and invest in positive connections. On top of meaningful conversation, Shetty also encouraged gift giving and taking care of people closest to you in life, which we can all agree is massively uplifting for the soul. Expanding on this idea, we conclude with the concept of servitude and the fact that we are hardwired to look after others, so we get positive reinforcement from our bodies. Therefore, we should practice doing this regularly and avoid getting lost in ourselves. Shetty clarifies that this isn't about massive gestures now and again. It's about consistent devotion to our loved ones. Monks don't make grand gestures. Love is in the small things. Love and service are consistent and intentional. A good exercise here to improve your ability to care is to expand what Shetty calls the radius of care, which asks us to think about 4 to 6 people we care about and how we can increase that number by helping more people in our community. Think Like a Monk is a fascinating and practical approach to understanding the techniques that have shaped monk culture for centuries. Shetty's reliable approach is an excellent way of getting us to look at our minds and doing it in a way that means you don't have to have been a practicing Buddhist for years to master it. We can all do these simple exercises to make peace with our minds and live a more meaningful life. In terms of meditation for beginners, it will be challenging to find a better book than this. What are your top tips for living like a monk? Do you practice non-attachment to things? Comment below with your best advice. please be sure to like and subscribe as well. And thank you for watching.